Hey, welcome back to the follow-up video on the Shopsmith Lathe tool sharpening jig. In that video, covered the basic functions of this tool. There's actually a few more functions that I'm going to need to do another video on. So some of the questions, some of the comments, some of the cheap shots that came from this video have sparked a need for that additional video. So in this video, we're just going to talk about the questions about those basic functions that I spoke of. And what else can we do with this? Somebody asked about sharpening bench chisels. Yes, this was also made to do bench chisels. It was also made to do to sharpen shaper cutters. No time to cover that today. We'll do this in an upcoming video. But safety first, Chad pointed out that there's potential danger when using, I think he was mentioning the belt sander, but also if you were to use the sanding disc in the regular Shopsmith lower saw guard. On the 510, 520 models, the most recent models of the Shopsmith, you could use the sanding disc inside the lower saw guard. I don't do that when sharpening, even though the bulk of that saw guard is made from aluminum. There are some plastic components and there may also be some sawdust in there. And as we're getting sparks from sharpening, I don't want to mess with that. Likewise, you wouldn't want to run the dust collector or shop vacuum while sharpening. The dust chute on the 6-inch belt sander is also made of plastic, the modern version, and it attaches with just 2 bolts. And Chad's recommendation would be to just go ahead and remove that. Probably a great idea. Now, tacking on to Chad's comment was a gentleman named Ron who posted a link to a gentleman named Capnetti. Captain apostrophe, I like that, just like Captain Crunch, where he, I believe, had a little bit of a fire because there was some sawdust in his belt sander dust chute. Ed went on to say could also cause a problem within your dust collector, such as an explosion. So yeah, all very great points. Thank you all for sharing that. Todd said that he hopes that I would mention what Jeffrey Baker has done. Jeffrey has a channel here on YouTube. He may pronounce it Joffrey. I don't even know. We're going with Jeffrey. Jeffrey has taken a Shopsmith belt sander and made a sharpening monster out of it. I will link to that in the video description. Now here's a problem with these follow-up videos. They're only visible for a week and then they become channel member only content. Ed and Chad are both channel members. They'll have access to this video and that reference, but others will not. So channel membership might be something worth looking into. Again, that'll be mentioned in the video description. Steve mentioned that another gentleman here on YouTube who I highly recommend if you're a Shopsmith owner, a gentleman named Doug Reed, that he has used this sharpening jig and talked about using it for different angles. I was sharpening the tools at 0 on the gauge, which is the angle of the original grind from Buck Brothers. But he's absolutely right. You can achieve other bevel angles. And in real life, I use a much more aggressive angle, especially on my skew. And so, yeah, we'll talk about that and show it in the follow-up video. But in the meantime, if you want to check out Doug's video, I'll link to that as well. In fact, it wasn't just Steve who mentioned that. Several people mentioned that you can do other angles. Yes, you can. Robert, who's a channel member, was one of the folks who mentioned that you can use that jig, or maybe he asked if I could use the jig for bench chisels, and the answer is yes. Again, we'll do that. Dennis said, great video, quick question, where do you find 320 grit 12-inch sanding disc? Shopsmith appears to only go to 120. 2 places, Amazon is one, and I also am fortunate enough to have access to a local woodworking shop that does have some finer grits for sharpening. Just if you happen to have a place like that in your neck of the woods, check them out and show them some love and appreciation for them being local. Otherwise, I'll find the link and post that in the video description. At least 2 people, I'm sure there were more, but Jeffrey and Jim asked about bowl gouges. Yeah, you kind of sort of can sharpen bowl gouges, but really I don't with this jig because bowl gouges need a little different bevel than what you can get with this jig. There are ways of sharpening them on a Shopsmith machine, but we're not going to cover that with this jig. We'll have to do that with yet another device, and look for that soon. Speaking of that, James, who is a channel member, asked me if we would be covering the use of the sharpening jig that was made for the strip sander. That is the jig I'm talking about. We won't cover it in this video. We won't cover that in the next video because I don't own that jig yet. In fact, if you own that jig and you'd like to let it go, let me know. Send me an email. We'll talk about it. Patrick said, when using the jig attached to the extension table, couldn't you just lower the table to get a fresh area of sandpaper? Yes, you can, and no, you can't. It depends upon how you mount it to the extension table. If you bolt it onto the table, drill holes and bolt it through, then you're limited to how much you can move it up and down. We'll talk about this in the next video. I have a solution for that, but yeah, you do want to be able to use that whole disc, and you can't if you bolt it to the table. Dropping the table down will get you to a fresh area, but there's some limitations to that. So Dave, who is a channel member over on Patreon, yeah, you can be a channel member via Patreon or through YouTube. Again, information in the video description. Dave asked, all of the expensive grinders and sharpening systems grind in line with the tool, with the wheel spinning towards the handle, sometimes away from the handle. Is there a difference in grinding across the tool at a 90-degree angle as we did with the sanding disc? At the end of the day, not really. You might need to knock the burr off, depending upon which tool we're talking about in particular. I think maybe he was talking about with the belt sander, in which case the belt sander was moving pretty much straight across the parting tool. Not a problem there. The skew is still being held skewed, and so the abrasive isn't going straight across, but I get his point. Yes, you may have a burr, but you can knock that off very quickly, and it doesn't seem to affect the way they cut. Ben said, a great video. I'm going to stop reading that part. Thank you. I really appreciate all the encouragement. You guys are wonderful. Ben said, how do you determine the correct position or sticking out of the round nose scraper in the jig? Since it pivots around the bolt on the jig, it seems that you'd get a different radius on the tip depending upon how far from that tip is the pivot. Yes, you are exactly right. And you know, it's been so long since I'd used the jig, I forgot about that point. And so let me show you. When I use the round nose scraper in this tool, let me grab the scraper again. And several people commented on how rusty these are. I don't use these. I mean, I used to, but I don't anymore. And so I don't care. But to his point, that when you put this in, if you put it in at this angle or this extension, you're going to get a very large radius. When you put it this far out and against the disc, you'll get a very small radius. So what I used to do is I would touch it to the sander. When I was happy with the radius I was getting, I would take a marker and make a mark right across the tool where I wanted it to engage that protractor, if you can see that mark there. And so then each time return it relatively close to that mark. If you're not paying attention, as he mentioned, and you have it sticking much further out or less extension, you are going to get a different radius, and then you're grinding rather than sharpening. So yeah, thank you for remembering that. James said, I may be doing this wrong, but the roughing gouge, I think, is a 30 degree to the left of 0. Same with the spindle gouge. The skew is 11 degrees. In the instructions, there is a little table that makes a recommendation. And if you want to do more shearing, which I do, there's the recommendation on how to change the jig to different angles. Now, those are just suggestions. You can put it any angle you like, whatever bevel you prefer. So yes, you can change the angle. When those chisels came from Shopsmith, they were sharpened as if they were put on that jig at the 0 degree mark. So yes, you have that whole protractor and you can change any angle you like within reason. Craig said, I noticed that the speed was low on the belt sander. Is it the same for the disc sander? Yes, I always do the sharpening at the low speed, which is about 700 RPM. If you happen to have another means of propelling your tools, like for example, some people have their belt sander mounted on a stationary stand and have a step pulley on it, you might try going even slower. The advantage of going slow is that you're going to do more sharpening and less grinding, less removal of steel. And why waste any more steel than you have to? Also, the advantage of going slow is you're less likely to overheat the tool. Especially with a high carbon steel tool, if it loses its temper, if it turns blue or black, that portion of the tool will no longer hold an edge. So now you got to grind back beyond that, and while grinding back beyond it, you might also blue it. So we don't want to do that, so take your time, run the tools at a slow speed, remove just as much steel as you need to and no more when sharpening. Ed, channel member, said, I read or thought that I read or dreamed that one can grind the chisel to a point reaching an unhardened metal. Is that true? Well, the tool steel that we use, the high-speed steel or the carbon steel, it contains the hardness on the entire cutting area, and you can grind as long as you like and still have plenty. There have been some tools where carbide was expensive, and back when high-speed steel was expensive, where they would braze those materials onto the end of a carbon steel tool. And yes, you could work your way all the way past that. I don't think you're ever going to have that issue with most of these tools, most of them that we use today. Dana, channel member. I didn't single out the channel members. It just did a great job asking questions. Dana said, I use mine on the back side rather than mounting it to the extension table. I mounted it to a piece of 1/4-inch plywood and clamped that to the extension table. I struggle to keep the roughing gouge in position when sharpening, and consequently, I've moved the point off center and can't seem to get it back no matter what I do. What do you think I'm doing wrong? So, Dana's onto something, because I actually mount that grinder on the extension table as well. I no longer mount it on the main table, and you can do that by bolting it to a piece of plywood, clamping it to the table. I have another method which I'll show you in the follow-up video. But yeah, as far as doing gouges, as you rotate the tool, it wants to push away as you go through, and you can end up applying the wrong amount of pressure, and the tip of your gouge can start to go off center like this. So my trick, if there is a trick, is to start at the center of the tool and then rotate it right, and then come back to the center, approach the disc again, and go to the left. I didn't illustrate that in the video because I was kind of rushing through things. Now, the more you practice with this tool, the less you would need to do that, and you can then just rotate all the way through when sharpening gouges. But I had similar experience. The other thing too is, keep in mind, unless you need to change the bevel, you're just sharpening. So don't apply so much pressure that you're truly grinding away and changing the shape. Use fine grit, slow speed, and just pay attention to how much pressure you're applying against the disc or the belt sander, and that will mediate a lot of those issues. I look forward to showing a few more tricks in an upcoming video. It won't be the next video, so watch for that. In the meantime, make it a great day.